Hi, this is Christy with Little Roots Ranch. Today I'm going to show you how to turn one tomato plant into many tomato plants for free. Granted, so it's free tomatoes, but that's assuming that you already have a tomato. And the reason for that is because tomatoes are actually amazing rooters. If you were to grow them in the wild, or if they were growing in the wild, they wouldn't grow upright on trellises or whatever like we commonly do with them. They would actually sprawl along the ground, and through all of their stems and stuff like that, it would create little roots that would then, Little Roots Ranch, they would create little roots that would just give extra stability and help the plant grow more. And of course, we want tomatoes that don't have bugs on them from the ground and all kinds of, fungus and stuff like that. So we grow them upright and we get beautiful tomatoes. But naturally, any part that touches soil can root. And so what we can do is capitalize on that by using their natural ability to get us more plants, which is amazing. I've been doing this for a long time. Also, I like doing this when it gets we don't get too hot here, but kind of as it's getting warmer and I want to just increase my tomato production for, say, the fall. I won't get a lot, but for that, or for saving my seed, I can clip them off if I don't, and plant them. And so when my other plants are struggling after the heat and a long growing season, I've got fresh new tomato plants without spending any additional money. And then of course, I like increasing the number of plants I have in my already established garden because I love tomatoes. I'm growing 22 types of them. So I will show you what you can do. So if I were to take an example, you see this little tomato plant. Well, it didn't always look like that. And what I mean is that, as you know, tomatoes can get really, really bushy. And also, I like to plant them really deep. So this guy started off, this one I believe is a Golden Jubilee. I believe it's Golden Jubilee, if not beefsteak. One of the two. Anyways, that doesn't matter. It started off as just a wee little seedling back in February in a soil block in my living room. And then when it grew up a little bit larger, I potted up. And then when it made it to this bag, because we moved, so I'm growing somewhat in bags and containers this year as we're establishing the farm. But anyways, so every time I plant this, I bury it really deep. It is probably going to be in its final resting spot, and I'll let you know how they grow in those bags, because I've got a whole bunch of them, so we'll see. But anyways, the actual plant, the base of it is like down here, and then I've just slowly pruned up and all of that stuff. And so how this works is that anything touching soil, I just did this, so you're not really going to see anything yet, but you can see, or maybe you can see, that's where a leaf, or I'm sorry, why can't I talk? Not a stem, whatever, where leaves came off, was right there. And then of course, but I just potted this up, so it's going to take a while, about a week or so, till you can see some real good roots. But you'll notice, there was also a little stem with leaves that was coming off of here, and then also coming off of here, and I'm sure somewhere on the back. But what I do is I prune heavily, which means that for sure the bottom 2 feet of the tomato get clipped. And I've already trimmed this one. Obviously, as it grows, I'll continue to clip it. But that helps in a lot of different ways. Really wet and humid here and all of that stuff, and a lot of like the soil-borne diseases and stuff, when you're watering, they bounce up, and because these ones are not undercover, and so they get rain and all of that stuff, but the water comes down and bounces off the ground up onto the leaves, and then that's always bad for your plants. So I try and keep them as disease-free as possible. I definitely work way too hard to work too hard to allow it to just get sick and die on me. And of course, in case you're wondering, I do absolutely put eggshells that I save all year under each and every tomato. I've never had a problem with calcium deficiency, but that's one good way to make sure that I don't. So anyways, so we're talking about getting a free tomato plant, or actually several of them. You could really get a lot actually, but from a single tomato. So this is still a single tomato, but if you know anything about tomatoes, you know that originally they call them crotches. Some people call them armpits, but the crotch of the plant is right here. And you see that's a nice V, same with this one right here. Well, that's how it starts. Then in the middle, you get a little thing growing out. Now, if you look below, you can actually see that. Don't mind this massive flower, how pretty. Anyways, and so you see this growing out, but this didn't start this big. This is called a sucker, and it'll actually be the fastest thing growing on your tomato plant. Some people do a double leader and they'll allow a sucker to grow out. I don't do that. Some people don't trim or prune their tomatoes at all. I feel like it affects yield, and especially with our cooler summers, I only do it with one. But anyways, how that starts, let's see, I think I've got one over here. So see right there, that little teeny guy in the crotch right there? So in no time at all, he will be nice and big. And there's another one right there, and basically all of them have it. I have been behind with the moving, and so I have not given these guys the attention that they deserve. But anyways, so to remove that, so when they're really small, like the ones I just showed you, a lot of times you can just pop them off with your fingers or whatnot. You want to take care not to damage the plant, obviously. If life happens and you get really busy, let's see, I think I can turn it around on me. Okay, I realize you probably didn't want to stare at a tomato plant the entire time, but I'm not so great with the camera. Anyways, if life happens and you realize that you haven't been keeping up with your pruning as you should, or just whatever, or you got a tomato plant that you purchased, or you found a volunteer or whatever, and you've got those large suckers, then you might want to use, I think I have my scissors, whatever, I have scissors. You might want to use scissors to snip them off. Now, we were just looking at that other one, and it's a little bit too small. If I'm just looking to prune it, absolutely, I'd cut that bad boy off and cut it off smaller. But if I'm looking to get to free tomato plant by having my current tomato plants, then I'm going to want it to get a little bit bigger to give it a really good fighting chance, being a little stronger and healthier and whatnot. So what I would do is I would clip those with some scissors, and then you want to get it to root, obviously. So you can do this basically 3 different ways, though 2 of them are kind of the same, but just slightly different. So one way that I have never done that I know a lot of people do is to put it in just a jar of water. And that works perfect. And when you see roots starting, you just pop it in the ground or in some soil. I personally haven't done it that way. I propagate a lot of other things that way, but just never tomatoes. What I usually do, depending on the weather, is we get a lot of rain and my soil stays pretty moist, and so a lot of times I'll just take my finger and just dig it into right next to the plant and put it in there and let it root, and then I'll take it out and obviously move it to another area. But I'll put it right next to it so that way I know how to identify it. Like I said, I grow a lot of different tomatoes. And then another option, especially if you're in a hot area, is that you want to take that cutting and you may need to cut a few of the lower branches or the leaves or whatever, so that way you can get it in pretty good. But you want to take that and put that into some kind of potting soil. I personally use my soil block mixture because it has the peat moss and nutrients that a little baby plant loves. But pretty much anything you can do. I've also used compost or just basically anything to keep it moist. Then you want to just put it into whatever you have and then let it wait for about a week or 2 until you start getting those roots, and then you would transplant like any other plant. I will show you some of the finished ones that I did. Well, I just did them a couple days ago, but same difference. Hold on. Okay, so I had that plant and I had a bunch of suckers that I pruned off of there. And so I then transplanted them into here. In here, I've got 2 of them. And by transplanted, again, all I did, I just did this a couple days ago, so they're still a little droopy. I need to get them some more water. But all I did was, you can see here and here is I just cut them. Remember, it's the ones that are growing out of the crotch, not if it's, so it would not, this is obviously your leader, don't mess with that. This is a side, this is a regular, I keep calling it stem, I don't know why, branch, sorry, with leaves, as you can tell. And then see that little guy growing in the crotch? Obviously he'll get bigger, but that's him right now. And so when he gets bigger, that's the one you want to use. And all I do is just clip him off with my scissors. I discard the one with the leaves. That's not going to do anything. It has to be the one growing in the crotch. And then you just take, like this is pure compost, and I stick my little finger all the way in there to create a little hole. Oops, a little hole. Hi, little spider. And then I would put the stem in there. And that's of course what I've done with these. I can do them over and over again, and that's how you end up with tons of tomato plants for free, assuming you already have one, or you can get cuttings from a friend or share cuttings with a friend, whatever. Okay, so to recap on everything that we were talking about, it's really, really easy and really effective way to double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, I don't know what else is next, but the amount of tomato plants you have by using the tomato plant or plants that you already have. So if you're wanting to buy starts, for instance, and you're at the store and you want to buy 3 of one kind, consider just buying one and using that, and you can save the seed. Well, I guess it would depend. It depends on what you're growing for and the origin and all that stuff. I save all my seeds, but I've been growing from my own seeds, so whatever. But anyways, you can save the seeds and then grow that next time. It depends if you're growing. I sell tomatoes, so I can't experiment too much. But if you're just raising some tomatoes to make some sauce or have on sandwiches, then you can really mix it up. Oh yeah, and so you want to, doing the recap, it's been a long day. We've been doing so much on the farm. And then we found out that we're going to be getting, our sheep have been born and we're going to be getting sheep, and I'm so excited. Anyways, to recap though, you want to take the sucker that's growing out of that crotch and you just put it in dirt or water. Make sure it stays moist. That's the key. And you don't want to have it in direct sunlight. If you're like today, it's an overcast day. I get a lot of those. That's great for all the messing around with my plants that I do. But if you're in the south or it's a really hot sunny day, you need to protect that guy because he doesn't have a lot, and by a lot I mean no roots when he's first cut. And so he doesn't have the ability, or she or them, whatever it is, doesn't have the ability to grab water from all over in the container or anything like that. And he's still got to work with photosynthesizing and all that. Give your plant a break. Put them in a quiet room where it's dark or whatever, and just let them work on growing their roots and growing you some yummy tomatoes. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I am new, so I can respond to everything. We also have a Facebook page, Little Roots Ranch, and an Instagram, and please hit the like and subscribe. And I'm going to be doing more videos. You can put suggestions, any videos you want me to do. Tomatoes are my favorite, but yeah, thank you. Have a great day. Bye.